Yeah. You can throw it in even in ministry. Everybody's message is not for you. Everything you preach is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people that are just for you, and some people that are not for you. So
Mm-hmm.
when we learn how to dissect that and know that my message is not going to reach everybody. No, what Jake's preaching ain't gonna, don't reach who I reach. What Jamal Bryan doesn't preach what I reach, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, but we still do the same thing and throw it out there, hoping we're fishers of men.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So and when you fish, you some may like your bait, some may not like your bait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little intro right here,
Okay.
and you might appreciate this because this might take it back to your era a little bit. And this is just like acknowledging that, because I haven't recorded in over a month. I'm gonna just say it's been a long time.
Right.
Shouldn't have left you out in those pods. So, on that note, welcome back to God is Laughing at Us, the podcast. This is the podcast that's just about living God's truth, but realizing that sometimes we be silly and God laughs at our silliness. But there's grace, there's love, there's joy in all of that. And with that, I would like to just acknowledge that you all may see someone that kind of looks like me on sharing the screen here. So I want to introduce you to the pastor of the Harvest Church in Day Springs, Mississippi. Someone who has seen me through many seasons, someone who has seen the work that God continues to do in me, someone that I, over the years, have grown to model myself in ministry after even. And this is my dad, Apostle Anthony Heath Sr.
Wow. I'm humbled behind that one. That was, I'm humbled behind, first of all, sharing the screen with my son, my oldest son. That let me take the glass off. You can see, we do look alike there. But it's a blessing, to be on here with my son. I'm honored. And he's modeling himself after me. In the area of the ministry it speaks volume to me. It really does. Hand clap.
Yes, hand clap. And it's really cool because I just think that just being here in so many ways it's just like is a growth marker, not just for me as an individual, like us collectively, but just like just like over the years, like the things that that people talk about, the things that happen in relationships, whether it's father son, of course, and then sometimes there's those different types of strain in those relationships, and most people don't overcome that.
Right.
So so it's like a blessing to me to be in these places where, like, realizing that I can acknowledge that I'm not trying to avoid modeling my life after yours, and in the areas, and just seeing the things that you do and seeing the things that are working, and wanting to say, okay, like, what can I glean from that? What can I take from that? What can I learn from that? What can I apply into my life so that I can be more effective in the way that God wants me to be? And because and we were talking about this just last night, where like for a while I kind of actively avoided that pretty much, because when you talk about the name, it's like I don't want nobody call me Anthony, because I'm like, That's my dad. Like, that's my dad.
Yeah.
And I'm good. All right. So, with you being a guest on the podcast and everything, and given that the title of the podcast is God is Laughing at Us, one of the things that I like to ask when I'm having a conversation with other people is, whether it's recent or just over the years, like, can you pinpoint one of those I know God has to be laughing at me moments?
That's a good one, man. Over the last, I would say, 30 plus years in ministry, or just in life general, now I found myself in situations that, where, you know, I would have to say, really not like where I pastor it now. No, it's quite a drive from from where I live at. It's like an hour and
Mhm.
a half drive from where I live at on Sunday mornings. But when I first started going down there, you know, uh, I kept saying, God, I ain't going down, I ain't going down, I ain't going down, I ain't going down there. And God said, yes, you are, yes, you are, yes, you are. I
Mhm.
said, no, God. So the first morning down there, my GPS kept turning me around.
Mm.
So I called the other preacher. I said, man, I ain't coming down there, man. I said, man, cause my Cowboys play today. I'm going home watch a football game, man. I'm cool with it. We do it all the time. And so along the way, I could hear God in the background laughing at me, saying, you
Mm.
think you're not going.
Mm.
You think you're not going down there. Now, mind you, and after being over there, being there now over a year plus, I look back at everything and I laugh at it myself. I said, God has a sense of humor.
Mhm.
I said, God watches us complain and moan and gripe about stuff like that. He's back then. I mean, he's just back in the background, just laughing and said, watch, you're still going, no matter what
Mhm.
I said, no matter that Sunday morning, how much I tried not to go that Sunday morning, Anthony, and no matter how much I try to go down, no, know what I wanted to say, no matter how much I tried not to go down there that Sunday morning, um, laughed at me, and even to the point to where I started laughing, going down there, because I said, no matter what I say, I still had the last say so in it.
Mhm.
And that's just one instance, man. In relationships, man, in moving here and there, different places, you know, one time I asked God a question. One time, I said, God, do you laugh? And He showed me a story when the Ark of the Covenant had been captured, and He smote the whole town with emerods,
Mhm.
and so emerald numbered hemorrhoids. All right, so and I could see God laughing at all the town walking around on their tiptoes,
Mm.
you know, and I said, okay, God, see, I laugh at you all. Because y'all think, because the stuff that y'all do, the stuff that y'all say, I laugh at it. And in my life, I'm glad He laughs at me.
Mhm.
I'm glad He does, because man, all the stuff, some stuff I've done in my life, I'm glad that God had that He laughed instead of chastised at the time. So yeah,
Yes.
that's one of them times. And more that's the most recent thing I could say
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that Sunday morning.
No, that's good though.
Yeah.
Because it that just made me think about Proverbs 19:21, something that I refer back to a lot, but many other plans in a man's heart, but it's the Lord's
Hmm.
purpose that prevails. That
Hmm.
that there's so many things that we just sitting like, I'm not doing that. that that because for the longest time, I think that a lot of things for me is like one of the when I really started to seriously read the Bible, one of the
Hmm.
first things that I immediately identified with was Jonah.
Hmm.
I looked at Jonah, I'm like, I'm not saying that's me, but I get it.
Yes, totally,
Like
totally.
I get it. It's just looking like I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like
By now.
like not only am I not doing that, I will go wherever I need to go
Right.
to not do that. It's like, oh, me going here ain't working. Like, just throw me
Hmm.
off the boat.
Yeah.
Just throw me off the boat. Like, because being left in the middle of a storm in the
Mhm.
ocean is better.
Yeah, and they're going to Nineveh.
Like they don't like I don't like them and they don't like me. I'm not going there.
Right. And I can say the same thing in my life. A lot of times, we said, God, I ain't going there. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going there. I'm not going there. And then and when you get there, you realize, and you wait for God to do something while you're there, but
Mm-hmm.
nothing happens. And the process of you waiting, nothing's happening. You say, okay, God, you sent me here. I came against my better judgment, against what I wanted.
Mhm.
Came anyway. I'm here, but there's nothing happening. I asked God, question one time, what do you do when nothing happening?
Right.
No, I mean, you keep on going, but there's nothing happening. There's no change. There's no evolution. There's no nothing going on. But you're still going down there. It's like God, you going to a dry place. You say, God, what is this right here? I can understand. Like when you talked, last year about the ministry and all that, what you were doing with the school and all that. You stepped
Mhm.
out on faith. I'm telling you that encouraged me. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
you encouraged me to say, my son's doing something that I never would have done. I never would have even contemplated doing that right there.
Mhm.
You know, no, and no, and I look at it like this, and I say, wow. I say, wow. When you go down there, consistently and doing what you're doing consistently, and you realize that, hey, there's a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
There's a reason behind it. And not no, we never understand it now, but we'll see it in the end. Like I say, and for you, to be a trendsetter and what you're doing right now, man, is just awesome. I look, I'm the father to say, hey, no, I'm proud of my son and what he's doing, taking on, reach the masses the way you're doing. And you're a lot like me. You reserved, and
Mhm.
you don't really like. You're not after the big hoopla and all the big, notoriety and big name. But those are
Mhm.
the one that God blesses, though. The one that aren't looking for it.
Mhm.
And I say that to you, that you're gonna see greater things in your life, man. You can't catch me. You can surpass me, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's man, we do favor each other, don't we? God, Jesus. Yeah, but
Yes.
I had to throw that in there a little bit, but yeah, going to a place sometimes, man, it requires a lot of depending on God
Yeah.
to do what He's going to do. You know, Even stepping out with the podcast how that you're doing right now, it takes a lot to God. Hey, I'm gonna do this thing, but you have to prosper it.
Mhm.
You have to make it great.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that, but that really applies to many things. I think that even in just watching how you do things, that like really inspires me quite a bit because it's like just knowing like what you have to do, like even if it requires you to drive an hour and a half every Sunday and whatever else that requires during the week, but
Right,
still having the realization that but there's still things that in addition to this, that there's still things that my household requires.
right,
Things that my family requires. There's still things that, that even you require personally that
right,
allows you to like balance that and still be faithful and show up to that, but still say, but it's like it, that even though it's like sometimes I think that we don't realize that it's like a strong act of faith to just get up and do something that may be counterintuitive, like just say
right,
or even something that's just like like that people look at you like because I know that there may be those people that may look up and like, wait a minute, you're a pastor, but what you doing at this dealership? That like
exactly.
that they're trying to like they're trying their version of 1 plus 1 equals 2,
Right.
but it's like God is like it's like, "Let me do the work."
Hmm.
Like, you show up at the appointed time, like, like, you show up at the designated place at the designated
Right.
time,
Right.
and I'll deal with everybody else.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the part right there. No, people say, you pastor, and I said, yeah, I said, but I still have to live.
Yeah.
No, no. And I think with that, like I say, I think a lot of people have a false understanding about ministry. Ministry is serving,
Mhm.
not being served. And that's one thing I've taken on over the years of being in ministry and pastoring is that it's not about what they do for me, but what I do for them. And so, and it's, it's gotten easier. It really has. It's gotten easier over the years of me being involved in it. And then like I say, no, before I start going down to Bay Springs, I tell this a lot. God asked me, how far south will I go? And be careful when you say yes. But be careful when you say, as far as you send me, God, I'll go.
Ooh,
And he asked me one, he said, how far south would you go? Now, mind you, Bay Springs is southeast of here,
yes.
about 100 and some miles, right at 100 miles. And so, and it hit me when I said, okay, God, for wherever you go to me, I'll go. I said, but God, I didn't mean Bay Springs. You know what I'm saying? I didn't mean, I
Mm,
thought, I said, I go right around the corner, yada, 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 but
mhm,
he said, how far south would you go? And I always say, be careful when you tell God, as far as you send me, I'll go there. And
mhm.
that's one of them things right there, but I wouldn't exchange it for the world,
No.
because, I would not, because I am so blessed to pastor the people I pastor down there.
Mhm,
I'm so blessed to have people that, that have a mind to work, have a mind to grow and see, and have caught the vision,
mhm,
but yet and still, son, it was one of them like, really, God, you sent me here?
mhm,
I could have done that in Vicksburg. I said, God, I could have done that right in Vicksburg. I could have found a building and did this and did that.
mhm.
He said, nah, he said, but that's not the plan. Like you said, it's probably 1821. That's not the plan I have for you.
Yeah. It
Not the plan I have for you. No, I had another plan. We only see, we only see a little bit,
yeah.
but we never see the full picture of what God is doing behind the scenes. Now, I always say God is always working behind the scenes of our life, but we might not understand what he's doing, but he's always working behind the scenes of our life to get the better of us. You know what I'm saying? To get the
Mhm,
better of us. Sometimes he has to allow us to go through storm after storm after storm to cultivate us, and to break up stuff around us, on us, to break it off of us, because we can't go further than our past allows us. I'm saying that right there. But what happens is that when we allow the past to break off of us,
mhm.
then we can go on to the next level.
Yeah.
What happens, many of us hold on to our past, hold on to what we did, what we've been, and say, saying, God, okay, God, you allowed that. David had a past.
Yeah.
David had a past. God told him that his hands were bloody. But what God still did, God still took that messed up young man
Mhm.
and made him king. God will do it all right, man. God take all our mess ups and miss ups. I always say, every test turns into a testimony, and
Yeah.
every mess to a message. And so, like I said, and I look at that, man. I said, wow, and I'm grateful, man, to be the age I am now. And be able to look back over my life and see
Yes.
all the things that God brought me out of and brought me through.
Yes.
Relationship, man, my God, relationship after relationship, but then seeing the hand of God in those things.
Yeah.
Now I say everything I've ever gone through was my boot camp. It was just my boot camp. It was my training ground.
Mhm.
I went to boot camp for real in the Marines, but now life has been another boot camp for me, because
Yeah.
stuff that I missed along the way, man. I go back and I rehearse it in my head. Yeah, it's a good thing. No, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and because pretty much it's like there's so much of it that, of course, it's like we want to believe that it's like, yeah, hindsight. I would have did this different. I would have moved different this way. I would have been here. I wouldn't have gone there. I wouldn't have touched this. It's like, oh no. It's like you have all of these
Hmm.
different ideas of like what you would have did differently, and
Right.
but it's just realizing that it's like you can't make hindsight the guide of your life. because
Mhm.
if you do that, then you're going to find yourself in this place where now you're trying to, like, really invalidate, like, the boot camp. Like,
Mhm.
all of those things that God put allowed you to be, all those places that he positions you in, all of those interactions, conversations, the places you were, the places you weren't, like, all of those
Mhm.
things had a purpose. And and
Right.
the and then it's like it's really just like building the testimony, is being able to build the things that you can tell people, is being able to tell people different things that
Mhm.
pretty much it's like, because, like, even for me, it's like now I can tell people that, that me and my dad have an amazing relationship.
Right.
But it's like, but if I tell everybody what it took to get here, they'll look at me crazy. Like,
Right.
they'll have some questions. They'll have, like, they wouldn't be able to really compute it because, because I mean, because, like, pretty much it's like, I'll just say it plainly, like, most people with my upbringing don't end up like me.
Right. Exactly. 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 And I said a lot, even in my messages. I said I'm blessed to have sons that have literally followed me in my lifestyle and ministry. And I said it's a blessing. It's a blessing that I'm blessed like this. I can sit back and I can see all this and I can see all that and I can see this going on and that going on. I can see this hand happening over here. And I said, wow, when you did your first message and you sent it to me
Mhm.
and you said your name and you said and you said your name, that literally, man, that literally put the biggest smile on my face because when you said, you didn't attest your name to your mom, you attested to to me.
Mhm.
You said because my dad said that I'm too special to be called a junior. And no, and I look now at 3, 4 years ago, the conversation we had on the phone, we were on the phone for like three hours that day,
Yeah.
talking. And I look at us now, where we come now, and that how we both have grown, and how God has allowed us both to get to a place we are right now. Because you're right, if we look at the past of our lives, and where I've been, and me not being there, for you growing up and all that right there, but now to have what we have now. And, no, but the Bible says God said he will restore the hearts of the father
Yes.
back to the sons,
Mhm.
back to the children. And so I look at that, man, I say, wow, here I am. I'm blessed to, to
Yes.
not only have a relationship, but a good relationship with my son,
Mhm.
and, my namesake.
Yes.
All of the other wants to be the namesake, but he can't be the namesake because you're the but it's a blessing though, man. It's a blessing.
Yeah,
You know,
for
I can
sure.
sit back and I can look back and I can say, God, thank you. And I think this may be something I think that a lot of people that may watch, fathers may get to watch may understand. Look, it's never too late to rebuild or rekindle what you had with your children.
Yeah.
But it must be I believe that a lot of times people don't want to take accountability for what they did.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you spoke about Jonah. Uh, you know, the reason the storm came is because Jonah refused to go. So Jonah did not want. So Jonah, said, look, I'm the reason the storm is here. So throw me overboard. So when we become accountable, for what we've done in our lives, and I'm talking now to fathers, we come down to what we've done in our lives, then God can restore the relationships. If we're not too big, say, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong there. Then God can restore the relationship.
Yeah.
But until then, I commend you of being a nucleus in your children's lives. That's a blessing. I look back, I said, man, I said my son it's breaking the curses. He's breaking cycles. All right, he's breaking cycles. And so when I look at my life and I say, you know what, it's all about accountability. You
Mhm.
know, not pointing fingers at what could have been, should have been, who I want to blame. No, no. It comes back on me.
Mhm.
Come back on me. And so I say, no. And so when we look at everything and and understand, all God wants us to do is give him a yes. And that's it. Just give him a yes. Give him accountability to what we've done in our lives. Yeah. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that and that's so true. I think that a lot of the time that like pretty much it's like there's just levels to it because like even for me it's like just like going back a couple years ago like with that long phone call like it started with me having to acknowledge some things in myself that
Hmm.
some things that I was holding on to, some things that I was harboring, and some things that was that ultimately was holding me back in different
Hmm.
areas of my life. That
Right.
so it's like so I had to look and just make the decision. I'm like either like that either I'm going to look at what was, or I'm going to look at what is. And then I think that was a starting point that, that God began to just show me who, like that not just who you are, but who you've always been. That pretty much and like it was so because the thing is, because it's not like I didn't know you. It's not like I couldn't talk to you. It's not like any of
Right.
those things were just completely absent. So it's like so those are some things that first it's like I had to take a real honest assessment of what was. And then from there I had to like really look at it. It's like, either you gonna forg like, God is just, like, real straight with me. Sometimes he's like, either you gonna forgive or you not. And if you don't, look like, let me show you what unforgiveness looks like. Let me show you some unforgiving people. And
Hmm.
and in some cases, it's like I had been on the other side of what it looks like to experience unforgiveness. So then it's like
Hmm.
it gave me some perspective and everything. Now I'm like, okay, maybe that not that like whatever justification I'm doing, it's like God shows me all the time that it's like if you're doing the justifying, you're probably wrong. Like
Mm.
that
Wow.
if you have to justify it, if it takes a nation, if you
Hmm.
have to prove to somebody that you're right,
Hmm. Right.
and then it's just like it just makes me think about like I'm reading Job right now.
Hmm.
So and in that, like you look at Job's friends, and however loosely you want to use that word, the way they
Right.
were talking. But it's like it's not that they were necessary like, like what they were saying in complete isolation was right. Like
Right.
they weren't saying anything wrong because they were saying things based on like the universal idea, like that God wouldn't allow any of this to happen to you if you were upright.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like sometimes it's like even if you right, do you say that? Like,
No.
even if you're right, do you say the things that you saying to this person that just lost everything,
Everything.
including his hair and his teeth? Like, he like, he lost all these things, so it's like so you get to this point that it's like they're doing more talking than they are listening, and it's like they're
Hmm.
listening for a response, so but basically, instead of trying to, like, understand or support Job, they're just trying to justify why he's in this position, and again, it's like the more justification you doing, then the more do you get into then you start to sound like Satan.
Right.
And then going because like basically Satan simply means the accuser.
Right.
He's the accuser, the adversary. So they just spent all their time instead of trying to comfort the man, accusing him. Like they weren't there, they don't know what happened. They was
Right.
like, oh, surely.
All they
So,
know, all they know is what they saw.
hmm yes,
Yep.
yeah, and in turn, it's like but I had to realize that. that, you know, that in some relationships, and then getting to a place of forgiveness for, you know, our relationship to flourish, I had to, you know, like, relinquish any accusations I could make in my heart.
Mhm.
That
Right.
I had to stop being in this place where I'm like, it's so and so's fault, it's so and so this, that, and that. I'm like, no, it's like accountability. And I'll be real. Look, I set my entire life up that I ain't that there was no accountability for the longest part. And then when I say that, I just mean that in the sense that the only person I was really accountable to was me. That I didn't have to be accountable to nobody else. And I think that I avoided people who would hold me accountable to in
Mhm.
any way. That pretty much if anybody wasn't gonna say that what I wanted to hear, that I'm like, that, yeah, that pretty much is like, not that I need yes people, because I didn't like that either. Like, don't
Right.
agree with me just for the sake of agreeing with me. However, if you try to hold me accountable, I'm gonna tell you to mind your business. And but then it got to a point that, you know, that people started, you know, like, no, that's not good. Like, you're not gonna just skate. And then, you know, you start to interact with people, you start to come into relationship with people, and then there's people that's going to say, "You don't have to do better than that." It's like
Right.
it's all what, like, for instance, it's like, and I credit my wife for this, because she had just kind of point out, like, even though it's good that you all are connecting and you're talking and you're having a relationship, that, you know, like, she'll point out to me that it's like, when you text them, it's just like, "Oh, hey, old man, how you doing?" It that pretty much that there was still, like, that there was still some resistance. But I will say this so strongly, that once I embraced being your son, and once I'm like,
Mhm.
this is dad. This is my
Right.
like, this is dad. There, like, no qualification, no, like, beating around the bush, no calling him anything else so I can avoid the word.
Right.
Once I got there, it's like then I started to see things change, and my heart change, and my mind
Mhm.
change, in how I approached, or even my willingness to just step out and do ministry. So it was just a lot of things that God was like, "Wait a minute," that I had to, you know, like, really break some things. But honestly, I needed to just be in the but it's like, I did not realize how important it was to just be in this place we are in.
Right.
'Cause 'cause there's been things that, you know, like, things over the last year that I remember, that when I was at that point where I was, you know, like, in, you know, a prolonged I call it a rest season.
Mhm.
Yeah, a season of rest. It's like, you were the most encouraging person outside my wife that I talked to
Wow.
in that season. So it was just a lot of things that, without this relationship, without our bond growing, without our ability to just have conversations just about life as a whole, and
Mhm.
then but also relate to each other, because there's now things that I can relate to you about that I don't have many people that I'm like, I actually trust with what's going on as I'm speaking about it.
Right. No, and I'm grateful for everything you saying, you know, and I know that it took a lot. It took time to get here. You
Mhm.
know, no, I know, like I say, you know, just talking and reaching out to you and checking on you and your, you know, you and the family. Seeing you on Facebook and on Instagram and seeing what you're doing. I said, man, that's my son. You know, and I say, you know, I'm gonna say this. I remember you, man. I'm gonna tell you what I did when you were born. No, no, when you were born, I literally gave you back to God.
Mm.
I did that. I literally held you up and said, God, bless me to be better than me. You know, no, and this is back in. You had to be. You were probably maybe 2 weeks old then when I did that. You know. I remember the night you were born, so well, you know, in Arkansas. Hmm, go figure that out. And so and to see, and when you went to college, when became a doctor, and all of your accomplishments you had, or that you have and continue to have, it literally, it made my head big. It really did. My head got big. I did. I said, that's my son right there. And even though there was a break in our communication, I never once, through everything, through everything, I always said, that's my son, you know, uh, and then to look back at it now, I'm thankful for the conversation we had a few years ago. That to tear down all the walls, all the barriers, all the past, and all that, and I'm grateful that God allowed that to happen. I talk to my wife a lot and tell her, you know, my sons have made me proud. My sons are doing things that, I look back at that I could have been doing when I was their age, but I wasn't, and in between you and Sean, y'all both say the same thing. Well, Dad, we watched you.
Mhm.
We watch you now. We see you now. And I'm like, no, and we learn from you now. And I'm like, wow, really? I'm sitting back learning from you all. You know, and so I think about the fact of that, that, not many fathers have the opportunity with it, with their sons, to rebuild or to tear down all. You have fathers and sons that are at odds right now because something that was did or
Mhm.
something that was said.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Lord knows I am. To be able to be doing a podcast with my son, and and we talk the way we talk. When we're both busy.
Yeah.
But we're both busy. But we still have a time to even. Nothing but
Mhm.
makes me proud. And again, whatever God is doing in your life right now, man, I'm sit back and and I bask in it. I bask in the fact that my son he's moving forward. He's doing this. He has the men's prayer group. He has this going on, and then still he has the family. He still knows how to balance his time out to where everybody gets a piece of him. I'm honored that man. You really don't know.
Yeah. I appreciate that because it's work.
Yeah. Sure.
Like, that's why it's like, if you were to ask me how I do it, I'm like, I would tell you, I
Sure.
just do it. Like,
Just do it.
it's like that, because if you ask me how, like, if I'm forced to think about how I do it, then I will realize that I probably shouldn't do a third of what I do, and
Mhm.
that's the conservative number.
I
But
feel
no,
you.
yeah, but it's like it's a blessing to just be there, but then also to just know, again, to have someone to that you can look at and you can see how it's working and how these things come together, but then also just see that that there's not this pressure that because I because in a lot of ways it's like, just thinking about, like, after Jesus was baptized, how, like, he was immediately acknowledged as, like, "This is my son with whom I'm well pleased."
Mhm.
And it's like, wow, that's like, he technically, like, it doesn't go into detail what he did before this point. And I think that in my life, that every time like, have spoken to you, even when there was, like, that break in us talking and everything like that, that I realized that, wait a minute, that I felt that it pretty much is that I never felt like I had to, like, strive or prove myself to you.
Never did.
And it times it's like mind blowing, but no, but but overall it's a blessing. So it's like just something that I appreciate overall.
You know, you just being my son was enough for me. All your accomplishments, yeah, I brag to people, yeah, my son is smarter than smart. My son does all these things right here, and all that. And so for me, it was one of them, no matter what, no matter what you wanted to do, no matter what you want, that's my son. And that's all I saw. There was never I never had above you, you had to reach. No, no, because I knew you were my son. I knew inside you was greatness anyway. All right,
Mhm,
and that's just not saying because I'm not anything bad. I'm just saying because I knew that inside you there was always greatness. You
mhm,
know, uh, and so no, no, I would never. One thing I've never done has put a measuring stick next to either one of you all. So you got to do this. No, no, no. Be the best you. It's all.
mhm,
All I wanted was you to be the best you.
mhm,
And I look back at it now, and I see such a man here in front of me. I'm gonna say it just like that. I see such a man here in front of me. That faces things head on, and has someone that he under that I'm talking about your wife now that
mhm.
supports your dreams, your hopes, your vision, and pushes you to be better. And that's it. Like I say, no, and I'm just grateful, man. Like I say, and know that you never had to prove yourself to me.
Yeah,
I think it was more for me having to prove myself to you. You know, because I wanted you to see, and I'm glad now you're seeing a better version of me.
yeah,
You know, yeah. But no, you
yeah.
never, there was never anything about, man, nah, I'm expecting Tony to do this or Tony to do that. Nah, just be Tony. Well, excuse me, Anthony. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's all I know. I even say, man, I'm still mad about the beard thing, though, bro. I'm
Um,
mad. You got. I can't even grow a beard on my face. You got a full beard over there. You know what I'm saying? No, but yeah, but everything you're doing, man, I look back at it and I say, man, no, I stand it all, and I am very, very proud of you, man.
yeah,
Very proud.
and I'm proud to be your son. So, that's that it's like, look, it's a big deal to be, just being able to, again, just do life and just, like, the lessons that have continued to come forth from all of this.
Hmm.
And then especially just now, I think that, like, when you especially, like, when you get into, like, the like, end of the year, beginning of the year, like, that's when one of those times when you really take an inventory of everything in your life.
Hmm.
Like, taking inventory of the things that, okay, it's like, what am I leaving behind and what am I bringing more with me? And it's like, so I'm blessed that I can look at, like, last year, the years before, and really just look at, like, I'm at a point where I feel like we're like at, like, training wheels, building blocks, and everything like that.
Hmm.
It's like now that we have, like, a foundation that we're actually building on as opposed to trying to
Right.
figure it out as we go. Like, like, there's no, like, awkwardness, there's no more of, like, "Okay, I gotta apologize for this," or, "I gotta explain myself for that." It's like, no, it's like now, it's like, we just get to talk.
You talk. That's it. And there's no wall. No,
Mhm.
no, there's no wall. There's no wall, no concertina wire, no razor wire around each one of us. We do where we can't approach each other. And that's why, and because like last night, we was on the phone for an hour and it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But like no, but that no, it goes to just show, um, when something is real
Mhm.
and no and nothing no phony about it. It's just genuine. It's just genuine love for one another.
Mhm.
We grow from there and
Yeah.
we learn from there. We learn
Definitely.
from there.
Definitely.
Yeah, we learn from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and I think that's that's the thing is like there's just so much in that like you grow from it, you continue to take the next steps, you continue to see where to go, you can and you just continue to just like allow it to it's like it also produces a peace because like now it's that thing that you don't have to worry about if it's gonna go this way or that way. It's just that you know that when it's an area of your life that's good, so now you can step into
Mhm.
those other areas and just have that trust that all of those other things are going to be ordered, and you
Right.
really just see those things being ordered. Like, you see those things that, like, all the things are working together, that all the things are coming back, that all the things are established in such a way that it's like that is like now I can look at other things in my life and I
Mhm.
can say that, you know what, that this may be a challenge here in this way or that way, or I have seen this very thing derail, destroy, or do this to other people. Like other so many like I've seen certain things throw other people to the side and cats, have them tossed away. But being able to look at just this one area of my life, I'm like, okay, like we not only survived it, we not only recovered from it, but we got to a place where like now we're just good,
Right.
period. And with that being the case, now that we're in that place where we're just good, period, it's like then let me look at the other challenge areas in my life and let me watch those become good just like this. Not by my own might, not by my own strength, not by my own understanding, but knowing
Right.
that knowing that it's like if God did this work over here, that God can surely do this work in other places in my life.
Right. Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's something. In both of our lives, we see that God has done some things, man, miraculous. Because
Mhm.
this is nothing short of a miracle anyway. You know, um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, from Jackson Transport. Michael, you got his number? Yeah. You got something you want to get? Haven't. Okay. Uh, Michael, I call. It's in Jackson. Right. I get up on.
All right. That sounds good.
But yeah, you see me in my element, in both elements here now. So,
Yes.
but,
Yes.
but yeah, you know, but yeah, man, I see that where we are right now is a place that, I guess, you know, I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for it, and I really look forward to this.
Yeah.
I look forward to more conversations, man.
Yeah.
More growth, more bonding. Like I say, I say we can't undo what's already happened.
Right.
You can't undo the past, but we can learn from it.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I think in everything, I think what I know I've learned from my past. I've learned from my past. I've learned from my past, and it's made me a better person. A better person, it really has.
Yeah. No,
It's
definitely. Yeah. 'Cause I remember like years ago, it's like I was thinking about it, just had to make the decision. Either I can be bitter or I can get better.
exactly, exactly.
And,
And that's
and
it.
yeah, and through it all, through the grace of God, just through his continued just hand and his love, like
Mhm.
and just being able for to experience his love through you even. That's been the big thing that it just comes together, it starts to work together, and then it just like again, it creates the opportunity and it creates the space to just keep growing and keep going forward. So I just continue again, like, I look forward to, like spending time, like with you, whether it's on the phone or going somewhere where we're like together. or, like visiting and all of that type
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, it's
Like,
coming too.
exactly. So it's like all of those things that I'm not even, like you said, I'm not worried about what hasn't been happening. I'm just looking for what is to come and what
Yeah,
can happen going forward.
exactly. I know I mentioned to the wife about coming out there. He said, "Well, just let us know before you come." I said, and everything. So, because, you know, because it's, I want to, no, family, has always been important to me. It's
Yeah.
just, I didn't understand it. Okay. I didn't understand it, but the more you grow, the more you know.
Mhm.
So I started to understand, that, at the age of 60, really, I'm not promised any much longer. But I do know that what the time I do have left, I want to enjoy family.
Yeah.
I no, no, I want to, no, I want to experience the grandchildren. I want to experience all that life has to, has there. Like I say, because no, they always say, now, yeah, I'm gonna live till I'm 120 years old. I ain't going nowhere till I'm 120, so I ain't know, but no, jokingly, but and still there right there, that it's by the grace of God that He has brought us back together again. It's by the grace of God that we're able to, communicate the way we do, and and see each other in different lights, in different aspects of life, and grow from there with it. I think a lot of us know, you said something about if we don't know about forgiveness,
Mhm.
and I had to forgive me.
Mhm.
I'm saying I had to forgive me for what I did not do, or even for what I did do. And so I had and then I'm grateful that day that you opened the door by the phone call, and we sat and we talked, and and it's like, and what's so crazy about it is that it's like we've been close. It was like we've been close our whole lives.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. It seems like
Yeah.
there's never been anything between. It's like we've been close all of our lives, and I think that's the blessing to me. Is that I'm like, wow, the time I wasn't available or wasn't around, it's like we made it for it in 3 years or 4 years time, and and that just puts a joy in my heart.
Mhm.
And especially as I look back, man, and see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
I would like to know where I'm going, but
Well, put it like this, I do believe this, you are, you'll surpass me,
Mhm.
and it's supposed to be like that,
Yeah.
you know, you know, David surpassed Jesse, and Solomon surpassed David, and so forth and so on. So, and so everybody, I think a father's hope would be that his son does greater works than he did, and change more lives than he was able to change. I just
Mhm.
think, I think that, that's why I say you surpassed me, and I mean, you already have in certain areas of your life, man. So, so I say this right here, is that my hope is to hang around long enough, to see the fulfillment of God's promise on your life, to see what I spoke over you as a baby, not even knowing anything about ministry, but I
Mhm.
spoke over your life, and and I want to be able to sit back and say, yeah, I said it was going to happen. You
Yeah.
know, uh, I look at a lot of stuff, man, in life, and I say, no, and just knowing that you've overcome a lot. Like till last night, man, growing up in Chicago, not being gang affiliated and stuff like that, right there in Chicago, but getting out of there, and then and then refusing to even allow that life or them streets to infiltrate who you are, but they know, hey, I'm better than this. And I commend your mom, for being the mother that she is, raising you the way she did, you and your brothers,
Mhm.
and it's just great to be able to
Mhm.
sit back and say, wow, 40 years ago, you were born into the world. And I say, that they know your age, right?
Mm.
Being able to sit there and say, wow, look at it. And so
Mhm.
again, yeah, no, I'm no, I'm grateful, man. I really am. I really am.
No, absolutely. Look, I have no shame about my age. It's like it is what it is. I can't do anything about it.
Can't change it, can we?
Yeah,
But
because like pretty much it's like whatever happens, it's like as long as I keep the hair on my head, my
don't worry, you got good genes, so you're all right.
amen.
You got good genes right there. You got good genes right there, brother. Cause,
Because
cause, cause, cause at 60 and still having my hair, yeah, well, I told him when it starts to go, I'm cutting it all off. I ain't gonna have no
amen.
plasma in my head right there. No.
Nah, no, 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 no,
Yeah,
no,
but
not at all.
yeah,
But
but
yeah, but
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Mm.
Like yeah, because it's like just real good though. I'm just trying to. Whew, this has been good. I'm just trying to think that just like realizing that it's like all of those things that I think that there are some things that God just kind of positioned that we can see and learn.
Mhm.
But then it's like, but even in that God has allowed, like just like to see it, to learn from it, and then still say, but it's like you all may share a name,
Mhm.
but I mean, but so there's going to be a level of legacy. There's going to be a level of something established in that. But then it's
Right.
still, but the thing is, it's like, look, if the if you catch me pastoring the church, then I don't know what to tell you because that wasn't the plan, that wasn't the desire. I did not ask for it. that that was one of those like just like God asked me, how far are you willing to go? I'm like, wherever
Mhm.
you take me. And then he's like, okay, uh,
All right.
all right. So I'm gonna keep that. But of course, it's like I know better because I'm not. If God asks me how far am I willing to go, my answer is just yes. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say as far as you wanted me to go. I'm gonna say yes.
Use me as your example. I'm your
Yeah,
example. I'm your example. Say, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. My dad said, as far as you send me, I ain't gonna say that.
I'm gonna just say yes. It's like yes.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. That's it. God, I'm not gonna put you in. No. I'm telling you, if I would have known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said that. I
Mhm.
think God, I go about 30, 40 miles.
But even then, but I feel like if you would have gave him a number, he would have doubled it.
He'd have doubled it or tripled it, something other. Come on, he said, no, that's not far enough. But yeah,
He-
yeah, but like I said, but it's good though, man. It's good to spend this time with you, like this, and knowing that that we have a lot more hills to cross together, though,
yes.
and I look at that, man, and and all humility and that God has allowed me to see this.
Hmm.
He's allowed me to to experience this. And just know that that it's Him doing this. No, nothing of my own power, nothing of my own will. It's just God's grace and mercy that's still prevalent in so many ways. And I'm just
Hmm.
grateful for that, man. I really am. I really am. And
No.
I don't take this lightly.
Mm.
I don't take this lightly, because I know that it's a blessing.
Yes.
It's a blessing. It really is. It's a blessing.
Amen.
Man. Mm. Yeah, man, it's a blessing. So,
Yes. So I think I'm gonna end the actual recording here,
okay,
is so that way we could just like loosen up and everything.
okay,
So I gotta put on my like I'm on a podcast space real quick because look, I almost kind of forgot. Like if it wasn't for the headphones, I wouldn't even be thinking about it. But
right.
all right, I don't know. I gotta get myself together. It's like you would think I wouldn't know. I've never done this before. But all right, fam, I appreciate you all for listening to another episode of God is Laughing at Us, the podcast. This has been Apostle Anthony Heath Sr. I'm sorry, Anthony Nathan Heath Sr. I am Anthony Nathan Heath II. I love y'all. Have a good one. Peace.